It breaks my heart and boils my blood that therapists and counselors are still failing to understand the non-negotiable foundation of motion and movement for personal healing, especially for the millions of people who are trying to heal themselves from the childhood traumas of abandonment, abuse, anxiety, addiction, depression, dissociation, and depersonalization. There's no longer a stigma about mental health. You've noticed this. It's never been easier to get support when you need it. And yet somehow we are failing to miss the most obvious, literal truth that there is power in having an objectively healthy and enjoyable body. 100 hours of psychotherapy will bring you many benefits into your life, but it is no substitute for maxing out your deadlift or breathing comfortably in a challenging yoga pose and feeling the safety and strength that comes with those actions. Call me radical, but I believe that mental health professionals should be exemplars of mental health, and I personally would never trust somebody to support me if they can't support their own body weight. That might be an extreme thing to say, but for someone who's gone through a difficult childhood, they need to know that they can trust the person that they're opening up to. And it's impossible if you can't trust them to trust their own body, to do a basic pull-up or be able to run up a flight of stairs if they needed to. We somehow don't have these examples. We somehow haven't made the connection that these dissociated, talking stick head kind of characters are not necessarily, or in all honesty, I will be more blunt, they're just not living up to the standard that we need to see. I currently have 7 clients in one-to-one mentorship, and every single client has a personal movement practice which is integral for their multi-month journey of healing and expanding. There's actually a gender preference in that my male clients typically go towards weightlifting. My female clients enjoy dance and yoga. There are some exceptions, but that tends to be the gender split. The point is that it doesn't matter what you're doing. It matters that you're doing something, because there's no way to repair the physical relationship with a traumatized body, or even a body that's full of anxiety, unless we actually have a new, loving situation. And that requires a lifestyle of consistently self-respecting and self-compassionate action, as you're seeing in this little highlight reel, which I'm going to keep on the screen for the rest of the video, because this topic is incredibly important to me. I've got a few books which I'm going to hold up at the end, but let's bring forwards a bit of personal story of why even focus on this issue of embodiment. I would not be here today making this video for you, this wonderful lifestyle that I have and everything that I get to experience, if I hadn't have gotten into the gym as the chubby 16-year-old teenager that I was. I've shared this story before. It didn't come from a place of empowerment and self-love. It came from a place of shame and needing to change. But those years of just beginning to make contact with my body as someone who is dissociative and verging on this undercurrent of constant suicidal ideation, to actually have positive experiences in my body and to realize I can lift weights and challenge myself and move forwards in the world in a way where I could do something and get a tangible result that was concrete. This is a real challenge for people who have anxiety and dissociation and depression as well. There's this feeling of inertia, a feeling of why bother, a feeling of, oh, it's just going to fall away. Not with the gym. Not with your weightlifting and not with your yoga practice. If you go to the gym 3 times per week, you can consistently, reliably experience growth. And that process is unbelievably healing for someone who's had a very difficult experience. There is no substituting the mental health benefits of consistent, reliable, physical action in a way which allows you to encounter your identity in a whole new way. There's no bypassing it. It is a non-negotiable situation. The reason that every client that I work with must have some kind of physical practice is that the gym or the yoga or the dance isn't even necessarily the thing. It's an important element of embodiment, but really what we're doing is we're looking at how to heal something like dissociation. Let's go one particular example. Many of the clients that I work with, to varying degrees, will have the experience of being very intelligent people and very imaginally active people who, if they're not careful, will leave their body and float away. They'll get trapped in overthinking, they will overanalyze situations, and they need something which is calming and grounding and reliable. Breathwork does this, meditation does this, but honestly, the most important aspect of fitness is that you get a present moment relationship with your flesh. It doesn't matter what you're doing. I've seen it repeatedly where a young client will come to me having never really gotten into fitness, and I say, all right, time to go to the gym 4 times a week. And then within 2 months, everything's changed about them. Their self-esteem, their self-confidence, their ability to be out in the world in a way where they're not paranoid and scanning for danger and threat, because that's how it felt like when they were a child, or maybe even the female client. This is a very typical example. The female client who's looking for the right relationship or improving her current relationship with her romantic partner, and we're discussing for her how to really get in contact with that feminine essence. She can be much more in contact with that feminine essence if she can dance and play and explore and be in nature in a body which she enjoys when it's just her. When it gets into the sexual space, the sexual healing space especially, for a woman to have consistent, reliable, safe, strong, and enjoyable experiences in her own body without the complications of anybody else, she gets a healing breakthrough which cannot be substituted with words or stories or group processes or running off to the jungle to do a psychoactive ingredient which I shall not name. Many different modalities are available to us, but cathartic breakthrough and emotional reframing at the narrative level in the mind will not be able to do anything like this, because this is a present moment experience which is you with yourself. Sport is a bit of a different situation. I'm going to focus in on what you can do by yourself in a very accessible way. It has across the board benefits. I'm going to keep this video incredibly short and incredibly to the point, because the question that inspires today's video was, what is my gym program recommendation? Bring it up on the screen. Honestly, it doesn't matter too much as long as it's something which you can learn to love. Because through the loving of the process of gym in whatever situation you might desire, normally weightlifting or yoga, those tend to be the 2 basic splits for men and women, over many months you will undo and rewrite the physical unsafety and the physical weakness which is anchored into the experience of being a vulnerable child who suffered something difficult. It's the same with sexual trauma. It's the same with addictive trauma or growing up in an environment that was generally just repulsive and unsafe to the core. You get to rewrite your nervous system over many months and many years, which is the key point. It will take many years, but you can't bypass the work. It doesn't matter what you're doing in the gym, as long as you're consistently going to the gym and focusing your awareness on the movement itself, for the sake of the movement itself. There is such a thing as being the guy who goes to the gym and you have the bodybuilder, body dysmorphic, focusing on the mirror muscles and not enjoying the movement. That's not what I'm focusing on for this video. I'm going to assume that you can maintain an embodied relationship to the movement itself. The point is that you do something you enjoy. You've been seeing these clips rolling for the last few minutes now. So many different styles, from calisthenics to gymnastics to strongman to the yoga to the dance to the martial arts. I enjoy moving in a full spectrum way because it keeps it fun, it keeps it enjoyable, and it allows me to have a feeling of identity expansion while also being consistently, reliably in contact with my body in different ways. When I'm doing Muay Thai, it's so much more about my legs and my lower body, which is an area of weakness for me because I primarily enjoy doing upper body movements. It's very classic, don't skip leg day. Well, honest admission, I always enjoy training upper body more. I enjoy that way of moving my body far more. But with martial arts and also with some of the dance movements, it's all lower body. And then with some of the symbolic elements, this is going into the whole imaginal space, which may not be the point of this video. Someone who's very intelligent and very creative can learn how to activate their imagination at a symbolic level while doing a movement like muscle up. I'll bring some muscle ups on the screen. I brought this up on an Instagram story, which is where most of these clips are sourced from. Something about the muscle up really hits me at a deep imaginal level because you are pulling yourself up, you're breaking through, and then you're pushing yourself out. It's a very symbolic process of ascension, breakthrough, and then literally pushing yourself out to a new level of perspective, and then you repeat it over and over again. It's such a wonderful movement. The same with doing a strongman movement. If you're lifting heavy stones, there is something so primal and so archaically inspiring about being a man who takes an awkward object and puts it either like to your chest or even above your head. The same with dance. Dance in a fluid sense, in a sense where you're moving through an emotion in a very genuine way that cannot be replicated through words or contact that operates solely at the mental or even spiritual bypass level. Many different examples, many different styles of movement. The point is, please move. Motion is healing, and it's something which we're sorely lacking. I'm going to wrap this video up with a few book recommendations. I've got 6 in front of me right here. So, get rid of this. Here are 6 books. Hopefully they will come up. These are 6 books which I'm not going to go into in too much detail, but if you somehow don't believe me in the importance of movement without some kind of clinical therapeutic discussion, here are 6 different authors who have done research on the psychotherapeutic impact of healing. I'm just going to show you the books. So, we've got Alexander Lowen and Bioenergetics. We've got The Betrayal of the Body. Fantastic book. I recommend you read it. We've got Body-Centered Psychotherapy by Ron Kurtz. Also an excellent book. We've got a collection of essays called Bone, Breath, and Gesture. Fantastic skeleton on the front there. Highly recommended. If you're interested in parts work, internal family systems, and active imagination, this is a book that can bridge the gap for you. Somatic Internal Family Systems Therapy by Susan, I think. Yeah, Susan McConnell. Right there. Another great book. Neurobiological Approach for people who like brain science. Here is The Body Bears the Burden by Robert Scare. It talks about trauma, dissociation, and disembodiment in a general sense, but it's definitely more from a neurobiological perspective. And then our final collection, which is a focus more towards dance therapy, we have Authentic Movement. This is an absolutely marvelous collection of essays which really inspired me to get serious and overcome any kind of embarrassment I have as a man who would get into dance. It's very classic conditioning. I know it's outdated, but, I grew up in that environment of, men don't dance, and you've got questionable sexuality or questionable everything if you even slightly move your hips a little bit too much when you're dancing. This kind of book is something which is very healing to read. There's 6 books. Here's a load of clips. That's the end of the video. I've got nothing more to say, but I do hope that you go to the gym this week, because the disproportionate results of maintaining that lifestyle for many years is something which cannot be replicated through YouTube or through reading. You simply get to enjoy the experience of building the flesh and blood relationship to yourself and cultivating that feeling of self-compassion and self-respect for as many years as you're blessed to live. There is no replacement for activity, and at this point in my journey, I can't imagine anything that would be more fulfilling than building that relationship every single day. I appreciate your attention. Join me on the next video, where we're going to address a very unrelated topic, but it will definitely follow on in one way or another. Actually, it definitely won't. It's a complete U-turn. We're talking about professional practice, but that's how it goes. I'll see you over there.